Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. We'll bring the Common Council meeting to order, and thank you all for being here. Madam Clerk, would you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's Office in preparation of the Council Annual Meeting Notice dated January 8, 2018, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised that the fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The city has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it thereafter.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now, Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Ms. Fox?
Here.
Mr. Gould?
Here.
Ms. Little?
Here.
Mr. McTurnan?
Here.
Ms. Ogden?
Here.
President Naidoo?
Absent. Thank you. And now we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're lucky enough to have Al Leiter here in the room, who was just elected in the New Jersey Hall of Fame. And Mr. Leiter will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Leiter. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notices regarding closed session and hearings and comments?
A closed session meeting as authorized by state statute was announced and held prior to the start of this meeting, and the known items for discussion were listed on the published closed session agenda. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Comcast Channel 36 and Verizon Channel 30, and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on Hometown TV, Comcast 36, and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the City Clerk's Office at rlicatis@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to approximately 3 minutes or so in length. Unless you are using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or needed for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now on to minutes for approval. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of regular and closed session of our last meeting, January 16th, 2018?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries.
Minutes approved.
Minutes approved. It wasn't a motion. Okay. On to reports. So we're moving on to reports. Madam Mayor, would you please give us your report?
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem, I guess, right? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting tonight on the 6th. So JCP&L informed us that on Thursday, February 8th, there will be a planned interruption to electric service to make necessary repairs to JCP&L electric equipment that will impact customers on Webster Avenue, Montrose Avenue, Lowell Avenue, and Madison Avenue in Summit. It's approximately 88 homes. The service interruption is expected to last less than 60 minutes and will begin at approximately 12 noon. In the event of an emergency or inclement weather, the planned outage will be rescheduled for Friday, February 9th at the same time. JCP&L will be notifying customers by telephone about the service interruption. Last week, I shared an update on the Morris Avenue Bridge replacement by relaying information from New Jersey Transit that work to remove the protective shell over the tracks is being slowly dismantled in 2-hour increments in the middle of the night because of the Morris-Essex line traffic. After that phase of the project is complete, work to finish the road service and secure utilities can happen in 8-hour increments, keeping us on track for completion this spring. Thank goodness. And again, I keep wanting to thank, every time I have an opportunity, I want to thank commuters and the residents for their flexibility and patience. It's affecting everyone. I get questions literally every single day from people as young as 5 to as old as 99. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that we've talked a lot about and we'll continue to discuss the Broad Street West redevelopment project. We are launching our public meetings much as we did for the master plan last year. The first public meeting will be held at the end of February. We're not exactly sure of the date, but we will be publicizing that date within the next day or so. And it will be someplace local, obviously right here and near the redevelopment area. And when we publicize the date, we will do so very widely. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now, Michael Rogers, our city administrator, has a report for us.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of quick notes. This past Saturday, February 3rd, firefighter Thomas Penn participated in the Fight for Air Climb in Boston, Massachusetts. It's an annual event benefiting the American Lung Association. Wearing full protective gear, firefighter Penn climbed 41 stories in 9 minutes, 50 seconds, and finished 32nd place out of 400 participants. Overall, the Fight for Air Climb raised $375,000 for the American Lung Association, and again, great job, firefighter Penn. That was it's commendable. I could barely climb 9 flights with no equipment on. But just a couple of program notes. At least one note here from the Department of Community Programs. Registration is open for the Summit Family Aquatic Center 2018 season and for kids' summer camps. This year, the Department of Community Programs is introducing a Diddy's Day at Pool Camp for the month of August for children entering grades 2 to 9. For more information, please visit summitcommunityprograms.com. And I just would also like to share a reminder about the PAL ping pong tournament on February 23rd at 7 p.m. at Brighton School. Summit students in grades 5 to 8 are invited to attend. And that's all I have for this evening, Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you, City Administrator Rogers. I will say that I'm filling in here for David Naidu, our Council President, as President Pro Tem. But in addition to that, I'm the Chairman of the Public Safety Committee. And as such, I'm proud to mention that tonight Mayor Radis will swear in our newest Summit Police Officer, A.J. Tesario. And earlier this week, we said goodbye and good luck to retiring police officer James Frieden. Officer Frieden served our city for 25 years, and we thank him for his outstanding contribution to our community and wish him the best of luck in his retirement. Okay, now on to, we do not have a Summit Historical Minute this evening. I'm sorry, I know a lot of you come just for that. Now, on to presentations. This evening, we have a presentation. Oh, the swearing in, yes. Oh, apologies. Now it's time for the swearing in. So, Madam Mayor, I turn to you.
Good evening again. Officer A.J. Tesario was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He was raised in Monroe Township by his mother, a nurse, and his father, a pharmacy technician, as well as his younger brother. Officer Tesario graduated from Monroe High School in 2013 and continued his education at Brookdale Community College, majoring in business administration. Officer Tesario attended the 49th Middlesex County Basic Auxiliary Police Academy in 2015. He subsequently volunteered as an auxiliary police officer with the Old Bridge Police Department for 2 years. Officer Tesario attended the 117th Basic Course for Police Officers at the John H. Stamler Police Academy as an alternate route recruit in 2017. Officer Tesario served as a squad leader and a platoon leader for his class. Voted on by his peers, Officer Tesario was the recipient of the John H. Stamler Police Academy Merit Award. Officer Tesario also received a Certificate of Merit from the Division of Criminal Justice Police Training Commission. These accolades are awarded to the officer who best displays those qualities of scholarship and leadership that are indicative of exceptional future professional performance in law enforcement. Upon graduation from the John H. Stamler Police Academy in December of 2017, Officer Tesorio was hired by the Summit Police Department. Officer Tesorio is thankful for his family, his girlfriend, his friends, and the City of Summit for helping him to reach his dream of becoming a law enforcement officer. And I just want to add that I heard one story about you, officer, that when you were at the police academy, the rule is that everybody has to park in a slot as they arrive. And so you always know who was the first one to get there. And traveling over an hour to get to the academy each day, Officer Tesorio was almost always the first guy, if not always, the first guy in that slot. So that's the kind of dedication that we're very happy to have and lucky to have here at Summit.
Thank you, Mayor.
Shall we? Who's going to hold you? That family come up? Okay, put your right hand on the Bible.
No, the other way. The other way.
Okay.
No, your right hand on the Bible.
All right, all right, I believe you, I believe you.
Please repeat after me. I, A.J. Tesorio,
I, A.J. Tesorio,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the position of police officer
of the position of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, officer. Welcome so much. Congratulations. Congratulations. We'll take great care of this, I promise.
Yes, great to see you.
Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
There you go.
Do one there. That's going to be the Christmas card, and then we'll... More?
Come in the background.
Bring it up here. I lied, that should be the Christmas card.
And now we'll take a 2-minute recess just in case any of you were mostly interested in Officer Tesorio now. Let's everybody get seated. We have kids at the middle school in performances that some people want to see. What do I say here?
Now we're going to do the presentation.
I know, do I say back in session or something? Okay, I'm now calling the meeting to order. And we're moving on to presentations. So, this evening, we have with us John Flack, Rob Friedrich, Ed Albowitz, who are going to present about a concept for baseball fields at the transfer station. Take it away.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to address you all tonight. My name is Rob Friedrich. I live at 3 Linda Lane in Summit, and my wife and I have been Summit residents for almost 17 years. We are raising 2 sons here in Summit. One is a 3rd grader at Franklin Elementary, and the other is a 6th grader at the middle school. Among other pursuits, they are both passionate baseball players and have played spring, summer, and fall baseball with Summit Junior Baseball since kindergarten. It's a pleasure for us to appear before you tonight. There are several new members of the council since we last appeared, and we offer you our congratulations and thanks for your service and your leadership. A lot has been done over the past year, and we welcome this opportunity to update you on our progress. For the past 2.5 years, I, along with a highly qualified and motivated group of Summit residents, including John Flack, Ed Albowitz, and Tommy Nolan, have worked cooperatively with Mayor Redest, various members of city staff, the planning board, and several members of this council on a proposal to construct a complex of baseball fields within the city of Summit. We are also joined here tonight by Al Leiter, one of our distinguished friends and residents for whom this project has been a long-standing priority. I just want to note that Al came directly from the airport to show his support for this effort, and we thank him for his continued support and guidance. I also want to thank all of the rest of these fine gentlemen who showed up here, members of the Summit baseball community, to show their support. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry if I missed anyone. Thank you. The demonstrable need and public support for a baseball complex in Summit led to its inclusion as a developmental priority in the city's recently concluded master plan reevaluation. Goal 6 of the master plan regarding open space and community facilities states, quote, "Residents contributed many ideas for potential enhancements to existing assets and for the creation of new ones. Most commonly mentioned by the public was the condition and overall inadequacy of the city's baseball facilities, baseball and softball facilities. The updated plan further makes this a developmental priority for the city, stating that the city's proposed actions and strategies, quote, assist in identifying a possible location for and developing a feasible plan for consolidating and improving Summit's baseball facilities." The case for this project is really an easy one. Among the top motivators for people moving to Summit is their desire to raise their children in a safe, vibrant community, offering excellent schools, healthy outdoor activities, and a culturally rich experience. The city's ability to meet these needs drives our desirability as a community, supports our property values, and ensures our city's future. In the modern era, our children's outdoor activities revolve around organized athletics, making the quality of the city's athletic facilities of paramount importance to the community and its residents. This leads us to the Summit paradox. Baseball and softball are by far the #1 participation sports in Summit, with annual registrations more than double that of any other sport. Baseball and softball are the most inclusive of all sports, the safest of all sports, and I might even dare say the most American of all sports. And yet, Summit's disaggregated baseball and softball facilities are inadequate to handle current demand, in many cases unsafe and unsanitary, and virtually impossible to adequately maintain. No significant investment has been made in Summit's baseball and softball facilities for decades, and the city lacks even a single dedicated and properly constructed full-size baseball field. There are several critical elements to building and maintaining baseball fields, including irrigation, drainage, and the ability to regularly and efficiently maintain infields and outfields. Provision of proper sanitation facilities is also a critical need. This requires proper construction as well as specialized maintenance equipment and a substantial quantity of supplies such as drying agent, specialized dirt, clay, and chalk. Doing this in a multitude of disaggregated locations is quite simply a fool's errand. And the four of us sitting before you are several of the many fools in Summit who are attempting this feat on a regular basis. If you travel next door to Milburn, Chatham, or Union, you'll see the answer to this conundrum. A baseball and softball complex, or more specifically, a collection of contiguous, properly constructed fields with proper irrigation, effective drainage, and centralized maintenance facilities. In addition to the obvious benefits to players, coaches, and parents, youth baseball and softball represents a compelling and largely untapped opportunity to bring our community together. Summit and communities across the country are prioritizing the creation of vibrant centers of activity where people come together to socialize, build their sense of community. And there is no greater opportunity in the city of Summit to create such an asset than the development of a baseball and softball complex. If you've ever spent a Friday evening at Jefferson Field, you know what I'm talking about. Imagine that times 4 with proper bathrooms, concessions, walking paths, and a playground for younger siblings. Compelling, inexpensive entertainment for the entire city with built-in programming of over 600 events per year. It's a huge untapped opportunity. So where do we put it and how do we pay for it? We have spent extensive time with members of the city staff assessing every piece of undeveloped land within the city and believe that the excess land at the transfer station is clearly the best and most viable option. We well know that making this a reality is not without challenges. As you all know, the transfer station is an environmentally challenged site in need of remediation. This is an arduous and expensive proposition, although the remediation must be undertaken, and our proposal presents one of the most appealing alternatives from a remediation cost standpoint. Through our work with Aaron Schrager, the city's engineer, and the city's remediation consultant, we have learned that the state's remediation fund will provide 75% of the environmental remediation costs if the property is developed for active recreation, the highest percentage available and significantly more than is available for other potential uses. We have also worked with Aaron to test fit the proposed facility on the available property and establish its feasibility without either significantly impacting ongoing operations of the transfer station or increasing traffic on West End Avenue, both of which we know are of serious concern. We have here a scale drawing of the proposed facility on the site, and while further analysis is, of course, required, the initial results are quite encouraging. The remediation process further presents the opportunity for us to receive a fully capped, graded pad ideally suited to the construction of baseball fields with appropriate irrigation and drainage. So how do we pay for it? This project is largely self-funding, although that is not to be confused with self-financing. It will generate substantial recurring revenues, the majority of which can be made available to service construction financing. While we conservatively estimate construction costs of $3 to $5 million, depending on the extent and quality of ancillary facilities, we expect operating revenue from the facility sufficient to service the baseball-related construction costs through a combination of revenue streams, including facility fees charged to athletes, tournament fees, naming rights, and concession rights. In summation, we have before us the opportunity to transform a brownfield, environmentally challenged property into an attractive and badly needed community asset of which we can all be proud, with minimal impact on ongoing transfer station operations. To make this project a reality, we need to complete the environmental remediation process, obtain the building rights. We require assistance with permitting and financing, and the continued efforts of the city staff to navigate the environmental and redevelopment process. That concludes my remarks, and of course, we welcome any of your comments or questions. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you tonight.
Thank you. Are your other colleagues going to present as well, or just?
No, they've
Okay, so first I'd like to open the floor to the council. Do you guys have any questions for these gentlemen? Yes, Mary.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. That was wonderful and very comprehensive, and I look forward to going through with more detail. But I'm wondering, and as head of general services, it's come up that it seems like it's going to take a little bit of time. And in the meantime, I'm wondering if it makes some sense to work with Department of Community Programs as well as the Board of Ed to see, I mean, it's time for an evaluation of all our field utilization. And I'm wondering if that might be something that you could do with DCP and Board of Ed to see how we might look at lights and revisit that. I know we talked about that 10 years ago, but maybe it's time to talk about that again. And this seems like a really good time in the meantime to see what we do have and can we further utilize it a bit better.
Yeah, I certainly think we're have very similar thoughts in terms of what this would portend for use of fields across the city. One of the unique aspects of baseball is the maintenance requirements are different. We need a lot of specialized equipment, materials. Literally every time a game is played, there needs to be maintenance performed on the field. So there's a unique need in the case of baseball to try to aggregate our fields in a place where we can really maintain them collectively with, a set of equipment that works and can be used efficiently for all. Trying to do that in this sort of disaggregated way where we have a tractor in every location, we're delivering materials to every location, we don't have the necessary irrigation, we don't have the necessary drainage, is really difficult. But that doesn't mean that some of the fields that we're using may not be very well suited to other purposes, and if we had this facility, we could certainly re-examine what we need to continue to occupy and what we concede to others and how we can best use those assets. The critical thing from the baseball perspective is really, getting ourselves into a position where we have a functional facility that can be adequately maintained and support the demand. But I think your comments are very well taken, and we would support that.
Thank you, Councilmember Ogden. Any other council member questions, comments? I have two questions. Oh, sorry. Oh, forgive me, Councilmember McTiernan, please.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Yeah, so I just, a couple things. One, I want to say I have a lot of sympathy for what your group is doing. I think I spent 8 years coaching Summit junior baseball teams, and all my kids played. And maybe because I coached them, despite that, or maybe because of that, they all ended up playing lacrosse later on. But I tried my best, I really did.
Mark side.
In any event, I look at what you guys are doing, and we need people in town who have vision and are change agents. We have a lot of stuff in town where people like it the way it is, don't want it to change. We never get anywhere with that, because we do need people who want to push the envelopes and really work hard. And I know this is I said it to you when I came in, a labor of love. You guys are passionate about it, but make no mistake, it is labor. This is a lot of work for a volunteer thing, and I just applaud you guys for doing this, because you love the city, and it's great to see that. I guess I had just a couple of questions. I just want to clarify. So when you're talking about that it's difficult to bring your tractor to Jefferson and then back over to Memorial and all these things, the idea that this was completed for rec baseball or Summit Junior Baseball all of those facilities, you would not envision still needing to use Jefferson or Wilson or any of these other places where baseball goes on, or is that not the case?
No, I would certainly expect we will need most of the current inventory that we have, simply because there is so much demand, particularly during rec baseball season, because we have, in the spring, for example, we will have rec baseball, summer travel playing spring leagues, we have rec softball, potentially summer softball, so I mean the demand is extreme in the spring season, and we would definitely need those additional facilities. Although I think if we had this, this asset, there are certainly a couple of baseball facilities that I think would be, that we could do without. And I think those are the ones that are truly like the most challenged. For example, Lincoln Field, which is really a very difficult baseball proposition, is probably it is well suited to soccer. There are soccer goals, they play soccer out there. If you look at the configuration, it's basically a big rectangle and it's well suited to soccer. It's just not well suited to baseball. So is that a field we might give up so that there's a net benefit to other sports as well? Certainly we would consider that, and I think that's a possibility. Franklin Field is another one. It's extremely challenged for baseball. So there's that opportunity, but I don't think certainly this wouldn't replace everything else that we have. We would still need Long, we would still need Jefferson, we would still need Wilson for the large size field, although it would be a tremendous boon, I think, for us to have a properly constructed full-size baseball field for high school, middle school and high school baseball.
So you think that you'd want to work with the Board of Ed, that their high school games would be at this complex as well, instead of at Memorial as they are now?
Yeah.
John Flack, 15 Carling Court. We've actually had conversations with Kevin Zaleski, and he supports this initiative as well. He does not have a proper baseball field for a high school level team that he feels comfortable with, and he's behind this project as well. Couple other things I want to say is baseball is very unique, like Rob mentioned. Honestly, the fields we have now are a safety risk. There's lacrosse goals and soccer goals in the outfield. Kids you tell them just let the ball go, but these are athletes. They're going to make the play, so they're not thinking about it. The ball's hit and they run into a soccer goal, into the soccer net. The dirt is like cement. The kids come off bleeding, and they have to be taken out of the game and put like bandages like they've been to war on their arms. The fencing isn't proper. You have children walking onto the infield, walking through the outfield in the middle of games, or dogs running through the outfield in the middle of the game. The umpire has to call timeout. It's just, from a safety issue, there's lots of issues. Baseball is a unique sport, right? In soccer, everybody knows you stay on the sideline. There's a big rectangle. For whatever reason, baseball people think it's okay to go hang out in the outfield and play catch, or let their dog run out there in the middle of a game. Another point is, in 2017, we redid the Tatlock tennis courts. That was about $350,000. In 2016, the tennis courts were $635,000 in 2016. The field house, Coronado Field House, which I would say is related to athletics, was redone for about $350,000. Football and lacrosse just got a new football field and new stands for about $1.4 million. Basketball, you could say, has a new $6.5 million arena. And soccer is redoing Glenside Field for $525,000. So this is just in the past 3 years. If we go back 10 years, 15 years, you're still not going to see baseball on this list. Nothing has been done for baseball. So the fields, as I said, are a safety issue. They're in disarray. And this complex, not only does it take care of the safety concerns, but it's also going to be a source of revenue, right? I don't know how many other sports can actually function, like Rob said, 600 events a year, 3 seasons out of the 4. I think soccer, is spring and fall. Mostly they do some stuff over the summer, but baseball is active 3 out of the 4 seasons a year. I don't think any other sport can say that. And we have over 1,400 participants. I think the next closest is soccer with about 700 participants in total. So you're impacting a lot of children. It's not just about the children, which we care about, but it's also the elderly too. We're going to put a walking track. We're going to have activities. Basking Ridge, they drop their senior citizens off at the field on a Friday night because
With flashlights?
they actually have lights. They have lights at their field. It's just a sense of community. It's something our community can take pride in. Instead of kids going home and playing video games, they're going to want to go hang out at this field. And between the concessions, the tournaments, when we run the tournament, they pay you money, right? Then the Yankees run camps. Kevin Zaleski will run camps. Different organizations are going to want to use the field for camps. So there is the opportunity for revenue.
So just on that, you guys touched a little bit on the financing side, and so you mentioned that construction costs might be running anywhere from $3 to $5 million, so that's obviously a pretty big capital outlay up front. What is your estimate then for these annual revenues that you think you could pull in or the facility might be able to generate?
So in terms of the concession stands, I know that, who was just licensed out for 15 grand? We just licensed something for 15 grand. The pool, right? The pool just received $15,000. I think they received $15,000 from a third party for the concessions at the pool.
Sorry, the aquatic center.
The aquatic center.
Family aquatic center.
Right. So that's that's just one season. That's really the summer season. I mean, imagine that times 3. So you probably, you're talking about $45,000 hopefully from concessions. If we can get some street frontage, then you're talking about all year round. If we could get a Dunkin' Donuts, based on location of the field, we could get some street frontage. You may be even talking higher than that.
What we pay for tournaments.
Yeah, we pay for a tournament. We pay, it could be anywhere from $600 to $1,200, depending on the type of tournament a baseball or softball team is entering into. Not all of that goes to the field. Some of it goes towards umpires and baseballs. But per team, I would say the average cost per team is $800 for a tournament. So you run these on weekends or on Sundays. You let the travel teams and the rec league have it 6 out of the 7 days a week. If you're running on 4 fields, you start booking at 8 a.m. Believe it or not, some games even start before that. You're 8, and we have the lights, so we can go 8 to 10. You're probably talking 10 games at $8,000, $10,000 in a weekend. So, I mean, that's
The other significant source of revenue would be, and we've talked to, Summit Junior Baseball is obviously a very large and long-standing sports organization in the city, and they are a nonprofit. But we've had conversations with Summit Junior Baseball about the potential for charging a facility fee to athlete registrants for the privilege of playing on a facility like this. And I think there's more than enough appetite out there for this that people would be willing to pay it, and frankly, happy to pay it if we could play on, fields that were of this caliber. So that would be another source of ongoing regular revenue. We have 1,400 registrants a year, thereabout. If we were to say, put a $25 facility charge onto each registration, something like $35,000 on top of his other fees and potential sources of revenue. Naming rights is another one. If you can imagine, Celgene Park at Summit, Nokia Field, Lois Schneider Field, whatever it may be, those are revenue opportunities that are recurring. I mean, this is something that, it's hard for us to say at this point, whether we would be able to service 100% of the outlay, because a lot of it has to do with how much and how significant the ancillary facilities are. Do we want playgrounds for younger siblings? Do we want walking tracks? Do we want a dog park somewhere on that property that are ancillary to this facility? That's all, I think, perfectly valid, but it obviously does then add additional financial burden. And I'm not sure if baseball and softball would cover all of that, but I think, we're pretty comfortable that it would cover all, if not most, of the baseball-related construction.
Right, so the way you envision it now is you think the cash spinning off every year would be able, I don't know what type of financing you guys are looking at, but the thought is this would be a self-funding proposal relative to what the city might need to contribute.
Right, we definitely think it's self-funding, but we want to be very careful that we don't promise that it's self-financing. We may very well need the city's help to raise the financing to get the project done. because Summit Junior Baseball, Summit Junior Baseball is a huge beneficiary of this, but they're not able to lift this. I mean, that's an organization that runs with, probably has $10,000 in the bank as we sit here today. Everything that comes in goes back into the program. Now, that said, that organization is spending a lot of money on maintenance of existing fields, and there are some significant savings to be had by moving to a complex like this or consolidating a lot of those operations in a facility like this. So, certainly I think we would continue, Summit Junior Baseball would continue to fund maintenance and other costs and contribute in all reasonable ways to the facility going forward.
Right. Well, one thing I think is that you mentioned earlier, which is a benefit net to the city, is we need to remediate this property. So I think it's somewhat frustrating for all the years that Union County had this project, that had rights to this property. The state never came to them about remediating the property. Summit gets the property, and the state comes right away to ask to remediate it. So I don't know why that is. I have some, I can think about some reasons, but it's frustrating. But when you talk about possibly getting grants for up to 3/4 of that cost, that could be a very substantial and real savings to the city versus what we would have to outlay regardless. So that's an interesting aspect of the proposal.
And that's 75% of the cost. The other 25%, we could get some help with Green Acres as well. So, some grants.
With Green Acres, is that what you said?
Yes. With grants for Green Acres. Councilmember McTurnan, one other thing I want to say is, you mentioned people don't like change. Let me tell you, I do not like change. Up until about 6 months ago, I had a flip phone, okay? The good thing about this project is there's not going to be any change. The transfer station stays as it is. Everybody still has their recycling. They have their opportunity to put their trash there. We're not touching the free cycle building. Still room for composting. So there is no change. The only thing that's happening is we're putting a complex, a self-funding complex that's going to benefit not just the youth of Summit, but the entire community. So I don't want you to think anything's changing. And for the other sports, we're going to consolidate. There's opportunity for some other sports to take up some of the other land. And I have 3 children. They play every sport. They play basketball, football, tackle football, flag football, soccer, and baseball. So I've seen all the fields, and let me tell you, baseball is in far the worst shape. So they need the most help.
Well, I would just say one comment would be the transfer station is enclosed, but for residents out there, I get it that if you live in that neighborhood, they may disagree with that statement, because there's going to be more traffic, there's going to be parking, there'll be different people going in and out of there at different times of the day and evening that might otherwise not have done that. So I think from a governing perspective, when we look at moving these projects forward, we have to make sure that there's plenty of input from stakeholders and residents and things like that. And I know that if this does proceed, that there would be opportunities for that, I would hope.
So
I would hope so. I mean,
just-
we have, when you think about it, the people that bought their homes there knew they were buying homes where every weekend, every Saturday, the people would be driving in and out, in that entire community. But now we're potentially telling them that there'll be 600 events, plus camps, plus seniors coming in to do maybe walking around, plus the transfer station. We now, if we do the recycling center, instead of being 4 days a year, it's potentially going to be 12 days a year, and we have had significant concerns raised to us by those residents about those 12 days. So now when I think you completely must not say publicly again that there's going to be no change, because those people in that neighborhood were going to resoundingly disagree with you. And my question then is, what's your plan? Because if you think you're going to run everybody in through Mount Vernon and
Absolutely not.
West End, it's
But John, let me just take it.
not happening.
Looking at this helps sort of explain, because Mayor, this is one of the concerns we recognized.
Well, we talked
and
about this
knew
2 years
about
ago, right.
From the very beginning.
Right.
So there was no question that we understood that West End Avenue was a non-starter. To pile this on top of the residents of West End was a no-go.
Right.
So our idea here is there's a large buffer between us and them and a new access to the property off of Risk Avenue, which is here to the south. Yeah.
So this is the railroad tracks here. These are
Right.
the railroad tracks. This is a buffer, this is wetlands. We can't touch this. So that's a good amount of space between the railroad tracks. And then you have over here, this is West End Avenue over here. So the current entrance to the transfer station, you come down West End Avenue, you cut through back here. But the city actually did a traffic study. And there's opportunity, the city engineers here, I don't know if you'd like to speak to this, but based on the traffic study, there's an opportunity to create an entrance off of Risk Avenue. So you have Passaic over here, and then Constantine here, and Risk is off of Constantine. So you see the entrance, this would be the parking lot here. So the new, we would relocate the entrance as not to disturb people on West End Avenue, because we have many friends, family friends on West End, and we don't want to break any relationships. So we know that that is a concern, but based on this new entrance off of Risk Avenue, no one will be disturbed on West End Avenue. And if anything, maybe they will have access to the transfer station as well to relieve some of the current noise and current activity going down West End Avenue. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But there's a traffic study that shows we can go through Risk Avenue and not disturb anyone on West End.
Mr. Schrager, do you have that traffic study? You want to talk about that?
I'll make a slight correction. We did, about a year and a half ago, when this first came to the Buildings and Grounds Committee, their sentiment was pretty much, unless you have an alternate access point, it would be a non-starter. So we did complete an access study. So we looked into 4 possible routes to the transfer station, other than the current existing one. So we have that study that is available, which did show the access from Risk Avenue was something that was very possible, very feasible. Not overly expensive to construct, not a lot of environmental constraints, but it was something that could work. So, and that's what's shown here. So we didn't actually do a traffic study, trip generation or anything like that, but access could be achieved over there.
Thank you, thank you. We can all take a look at that. Madam Mayor, do you have
No, I
any
just
other
wanted
questions?
to, I know we've been talking about this for 2 years, and I want to thank you for your perseverance, so.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council.
If council would,
Sorry, I have one other question.
President, yeah.
So my question is actually for City Administrator Rogers. What is the, I'm not entirely clear on the ownership position of this property. Is it owned by Summit or leased to Summit?
It's a county property. Union County owns it. There's a long-term lease with the city.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I am, yes, please, what would you?
President Pro Tem, if it's all right with you, Al would like to say a few words.
Yes, please. Mr. Leiter, please.
Al Leiter, 106 Prospect Street. I moved here 9 years ago. Nora, I've been bugging you. Mike, your story about with your kids playing Little League or softball. I moved from Fort Lauderdale area, came to Summit, picked Summit, didn't realize it was a lacrosse town. That's okay. It was fall ball. My son was in 4th grade. We went over to fall ball. We went to Jefferson Field, and my son looked at me, and he's this big, and he said, "Dad, is this it?" We were playing travel fall ball. Okay, cute story. And I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, son." Now you guys know, assuming you've been to Florida, there's pretty big complexes, lights, and it's gorgeous. And from that day, when Drew Maldonado had asked me to be on the board, was on the board for SJBB for 4+ years, we tried like heck through who were the last couple mayors here? Gee whiz. Ellen.
Dixon, Jordan Glass.
Yeah, Jordan Glass, thank you. So, and everybody seems to want it, but I get the resistance. I'm going to give you an example and a story of my hometown. I grew up a town south of Toms River. Toms River is the big Little League. They don't have lacrosse down there. It's about baseball, football, and basketball. My hometown, the same thing was like it is now. My mother had 6 boys. They would travel to Sylvan Lakes Park, which was about 2 miles from the Little League, a mile from the Little League, drop me off, drop my brother Mark off at the Little League about a mile away, and drop my brother Kurt off at Morge Avenue. There were 3 separate fields, the big field, the Little League field, and the Pee Wee field. And it was a pain in the neck for obvious reasons. They had a couple little fields where I grew up.
The mayor at the time, this was about 15 years ago, I think I was still with the Mets, and I said, how can I help and give back to what baseball was very good to me, right? So they said, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd like to build a field at Morge Avenue Complex so parents can go to the same place and have a pretty little thing that they can be proud of. If you're ever down in Ocean County and you go to Berkeley Township, please, if you have an extra 10, 15 minutes, half hour, go to the Berkeley Township Baseball Complex where there's lighter field there. It has been a community bonding, organizing thing, and the most thing that I'm proud of not the money that I spent on a baseball dedicated field. They play high school games there, there's senior state games there, they have official Little League championships throughout the entire district. It became this bonding thing that was that we eventually have this. Go Google it and look over on the map of what was created. Not just because of what I did to pay for a field, it was the rest of the community was proud of this thing, and it became beautiful. Everybody organized and got into it, and as you said, Rob, it's not just baseball, softball. They have an idea of putting a track, and this is more than that, and I know there's resistance. You're elected officials, and you got to please everybody, the 20,000 people here. But if you want this is an asset to this community, and for 9 years, I've been frustrated as heck of thinking about everybody saying it's a good idea, but we can't get any further. These guys right here have gotten this far, and I'm impressed to heck, from Drew, Maldonado, and others that have been running it, and Mike, you were on I assume either board or not. You either want it or you don't. And I think there'll be a way to eventually try to pay for it. I understand some of the resistance, and I think based on this plan, look, they're trying to appeal to whoever they have to appeal. Think of it as an asset for not only baseball and softball, but for anybody to want to come out and watch this. And Google that complex, because I'm most proud about everybody in the community ended up building around a field. This town doesn't have a baseball dedicated only field, and I think that's wrong. And this would answer all the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Al, thank you to the baseball and softball community behind us who've come out to represent us tonight. Thank you for your time tonight. The last thing I want to say, unless you have more questions, is, again, to reiterate what Al said, this is a real sense of community. You don't even have to drive down there. Drive to Chatham, drive to Milburn, drive to Basking Ridge. Look at their facilities on a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon. Look at the kids, look at the adults having fun. It's a real community experience. And I'll tell you, it's going to add value to homes. And I think that's what people want to hear. People move out here for the school system, they move out here for the extra land, the extra acreage in their yards, and they move out here for the parks. And this will really be an asset to our community. So thank you everyone.
Thank you guys so much for all the effort and for the excellent presentation. Thank you. Okay, we could moving along. Now we're moving on to public comments, and as you want to take a moment, yeah. And as the first public comment, I know that Chief Weck has something very important to say, and so I'd like to hear that now.
I was giving you guys a chance to get out, but okay.
Yeah, they're staying.
Not
I
quick
said
enough.
perseverance these guys have.
Right.
I was going to call a recess, and then I thought, nah, they probably want to stay and hear the rest of this.
That's because I know what they drive. So just to start off with, I just would like to kind of make a comment about today's event in Summit and commend the men and women of the Summit Police Department. As we know, there was a tragic homicide in Newark. Pursuit came down. It's still under investigation, so I won't go into too much detail, but came down, exited, made its way over by Overlook. CBS kind of has it wrong. They're saying that the state police boxed in the suspect car. It was two of our detectives. Did a great job. We've watched the tape from our dash cams, and unfortunately, he attempted to take his life. And so now the whole investigation continues. And my condolences go to the young lady that was killed in Newark earlier today, and her family and friends, and obviously her children. So, but I do want to commend the police department and all the agencies. But they always seem to find Summit sometimes, and our training really pays off, and really proud of them, especially those two detectives. But what I really want to talk about is something that I've talked about numerous times as I stood at this podium. So I'm just going to read this. Last month, an SUV was stolen from our city, which was later recovered in Irvington and towed to a local impound yard. Upon our detectives' arrival, the SUV was moved by forklift out of a secured area and brought into an open-air warehouse for processing. While our detectives were checking the VIN number on the inside dashboard through the windshield, they heard a noise behind them, and upon turning around, two unknown individuals held them at gunpoint. The suspects entered the SUV and, using the key fob, which was still in their possession from the night before, drove off. While there have been numerous positive comments and some negative posted about the incident, I'd like to address two comments that appeared on Tap Into Summit's Facebook page in the hope of clarifying them. An individual commented that, and I quote, "Guns were drawn, lives endangered, and they were allowed to get away," unquote. And, quote, "Not something that instills a great deal of confidence in the detective's tactical ability," unquote. I have to publicly disagree and commend our detectives on the professionalism they displayed. No one, including a police officer, is thinking they were going to be ambushed in broad daylight in a semi-public area of a business. While still having weapons pointed at them as the vehicle drove off, the detectives drew their weapons but did not fire as the threat was moving away from them and it was in a public setting. Under the AG guidelines, use of force guidelines, the detectives followed protocol and showed great restraint in their actions. I also think if they had identified themselves as law enforcement and/or attempted to draw their weapons at the onset, there may have been a very different and tragic ending to this story. So to answer that question, no, they didn't just let them get away, but acted in exactly the way they are trained to act. I want to ensure the public that officers in the Summit Police Department are highly trained, dedicated, and professional. They take their law enforcement calling serious, and it disappoints me that anyone would question that, especially without the facts. While the information I just shared above is important, the following is the main reason I'm standing before Mayor and Council. Yes, police officers know that the career they are signing up for is filled with risk and the unknown, but the residents, neighbors, and family members of the individuals who continue to leave their vehicles unlocked with the key fob in it did not sign on for that. In the last 6 years, every residential vehicle stolen out of Summit has been unlocked with the key fob in it. I don't know if it's laziness, a lack of awareness, or a feeling of entitlement, but it has to stop, and it has to stop tonight. It is bringing a criminal element into our city that may not stop at just stealing a vehicle, who might return and gain access to our home via the garage door opener that was in that car they stole, maybe even when the parents are at work and children are home alone. If you think that I'm trying to scare you, I am, because enough is enough. Think of a neighbor that's walking by your home and seeing someone by your vehicle and making a comment, either challenging them or thinking it's you. It has now become very obvious that many of the thieves are armed, and again, this could lead to a tragic result. This past November, an incident took place in Short Hills where a 13-year-old girl was held at gunpoint as their family's SUV and cash were stolen. Fortunately, no one was physically hurt during that encounter, but emotionally and in other ways, I'm sure is a problem. I'm very proud of the men and women in our police department, as well as the residents that take the time to help us help them by removing their key fobs and locking their vehicles. I only ask those that continue to put all of us in harm's way to please stop thinking of only yourselves and instead think about your neighbors and your own family members whose safety you are compromising by leaving your keys in your unlocked vehicle. Summit is a safe community, but that doesn't just happen. It takes all of us working together to ensure that it stays that way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief Weck. And just to echo what you're saying, I'm so pleased that your officers showed that your detectives showed the restraint they did, firing in a place with people all around when any bullet could have gone anywhere would have been irresponsible from what I believe. And so I really think it's sometimes harder to show restraint than to take action.
And I'm sure they did want to, but every round that they let go would have been owned by them and the city of Summit. So I definitely commend them.
And I just have one more question for you based on what you said is, the individuals that are coming to town, are they just interested in stealing cars, or is it other things they want to do as well?
So these two individuals that ambushed our detectives have been tied to some homicides and other violent crimes. Obviously, something was in that car that they wanted. We can all surmise what that was probably that they needed to get back. They were obviously watching the impound yard, waiting for that vehicle to be moved out of that secured area. So no, they're not just coming here to steal cars. They're stealing cars and then using them in other violent crimes. whether it's armed robberies, homicides, sexual assaults, things of that nature. So that's the type of element that is coming into Summit, and because we continue to tell them we're not locking our cars, and we're leaving the key fobs in them.
Councilmember McTiernan.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Chief Weck, I'm glad you said this. This was what I was going to speak about at the end of the meeting today. You hit it on the head. Like, your officers put themselves at risk every day for our community, and they have the proper training to act in situations that certainly most of us would have no idea what to do. So I commend your officers for the way they acted. Their training came through, and it's a testament to the men and women on our force that they can act that way. Your comments around our residents, though, are spot on. This has to stop. People who are just, I'm sorry to say it, too lazy to bring their keys into their house are putting everybody in this community at risk. Because until we become not a soft target that everybody within 35 miles knows that residents here are too lazy to do this, we're just going to invite this type of behavior. And it's not just that, oh, too bad you got your car stolen, but it could endanger our officers' lives. It could endanger people in their homes. Speeding away from the scene of a crime could cause an accident. It could kill somebody. This is really, really dangerous behavior. And I know you've been talking about this for years. I get calls or emails from people, oh my gosh, did you know that there was a car stolen and you need to patrol more and do this, that, and the other thing. No, people have to stop leaving their key fobs in their car. It's not that hard. So please, I know you said it more eloquently than I did, but please, for people listening, tell your friends, please just try and do this. It'll make us all safer and our community a much better place to live.
And if I can just, I absolutely agree with you, and we've heard this from so many neighbors, and, but if I may share, something that you told me a year ago, was that a gentleman, or a man who had been picked up for stealing a vehicle, when was questioned, he said, well, why Summit? He goes, well, people in Summit make it easy for us. I mean, it's that simple. Just bring your keys in. So thank you very much.
Yes.
One other thing, I know we're talking about, and thank you for the presentation, but one other thing, what else can we do besides encouraging our citizens to bring in the key fobs? What other action steps are you looking at to discourage that element from coming to town?
One of the capital budget items, and not to talk financial, but I would like to make a geo fence around the city of Summit. It's license plate readers. If a stolen car or a wanted car breaks that plane, the license plate's red, it instantaneously goes to every police car. It will go to my phone, any device that we log on to the program. And just being proactive, if people know that we have this program throughout Summit, they may go somewhere else. While I want every town to be safe, obviously, my main concern is Summit, Madison. So with that, it's a great program, and we want to work with Milburn and the DOT to, put them on the highways, because obviously, if you come out Milburn and Summit on both sides, you have to get on 124 to get back on the highway. So if we can share a camera, it can be used for silver alerts, amber alerts, anything that we're looking for that has a license plate. And then there's a software program that they can turn around and they can track cars through any cameras that license plate reader that has picked up on that car. So it's a pretty good. I know there may be a little bit of a little big brother, but our job is for Summit is we want to keep our community safe. All the residents, the visitors, everything. So I think that was my top priority and goal, is to get this program in with the geofence around Summit.
Councilmember Little.
I think we're all on the same page here. I just want to bring up two other points quickly, is that, we, assuming these guys were the ones who stole the car. We have to assume that they were also armed when they were here in Summit, and that's a really dangerous situation. And every time one of these instances is publicized, we are advertising to everyone around that these cars are available and that they're unlocked and they're available for the taking. And one thing also that we discussed, you and I discussed, is that many of the newer model cars, that when you lock them, the mirrors pull in. So these guys they don't even have to get out of the car and start testing doors. They could just drive around and see, they can look visually and see which cars are unlocked and have an easy access in the car to see, push the button to see if the key fob's in there and just drive away. So you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting your families at risk, you're putting your neighbors at risk, you're putting the officers who are here protecting us at risk, and it's not worth it. We're all saying the same thing, but it's very important, and we need to we take this very seriously and all be on the same message and all be giving the same message that this is not acceptable and that we really need to change our behavior.
Thank you, Councilmember. I think these are all great points, and thanks so much, Chief Weck, for that presentation. I would just give our residents the benefit of the doubt to some degree and think maybe it's not laziness, maybe they just feel so safe that they don't think about it. So I suggest we work with the PR department and really get the message out there, which we will do, and thank you.
You're too nice.
So now we're moving on to public comment section, and we used to have this section at the end of the meeting, but in an effort to get it while people are still awake and lively, are there any does anyone from the public have any comments about anything unrelated to this that isn't, that they want to discuss here at the meeting? Okay, no comments? Okay, so now we are going to move on to ordinances for introduction. The first ordinance for introduction should come from the Safety Committee. So Councilmember...
I should read.
Oh, of course, please.
Shall I read it? An ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8, Parking, to add 2 new subsections, 7-8.9, Front and Side Yard Parking Prohibited, and 7-8.10, Penalties and Fines.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Now you go to safety.
Yes, and...
You want me to do it, or you?
Yes,
Okay.
Councilmember Bowman.
Okay, very good. So basically, this ordinance is an ordinance to introduce amending parking on the front and the side of houses that currently do not have any paving or structure or anything to that effect, that basically we're talking about parking on front lawns and on the side of houses in the normal hours. What we're trying to do is address some of the things that Chief Weck was commenting on, and that is to make our community look, or the availability of vehicles for being stolen to be reduced. We also use that as an opportunity to patrol and make public comments on the multiple houses that we have there. So what we're looking to do is just basically streamline our process and not to have any cars in the front or on the side of houses.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Bowman. And does any other council members have any comments about?
You want to ask for a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now you open it to comment.
And now it's open for comments from any other council members. Yes, Council Member Fox?
I'm a little confused about what the purpose of this ordinance is. Is it, because it talked about, I thought that there were paved portions of driveways, and the point was to limit parking outside of the paved areas. Is that the point?
Can I answer? I mean, I know it's just an introduction.
Yeah,
Are we not supposed to?
Just a point of order, Council President Pro Tem. This is just an introduction. We're
Yes.
going to have a full
Okay.
hearing
Should open it to,
in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will have a full hearing in 2 weeks, so we'll take that.
we'll hold your comments.
Okay.
until-
We'll hold your comments until then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have to?
No, now you're going to go on to resolution.
Okay, now we go on to resolutions.
Do we need a vote?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
We don't need a vote, we need a vote on
We need a
this
vote.
to
Yeah.
introduce.
To introduce.
We need a vote for the introduction.
Thank you. Okay, so,
All in
Madam,
favor?
all in favor?
I'm going to roll
Yes.
call.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now we're going to move on to resolutions. First up, Finance. Councilmember Little, please take us through these.
Thank you. The first resolution is number 5385, and this is to authorize the execution of agreement and memorandum of agreement of the FMBA Local Number 54 pending our closed session. This is the agreement between the city and the Firemen's Association, FMBA, and it was the result of a lot of work between a lot of people, including Matt Jacoby and Michael Rogers, Chief Evers, and the members of the FMBA, to come to a great resolution that really works for everyone. It's a 4-year contract that held the net increase of cost to 1.9%. So I am asking for authorization of this resolution this time.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? Any comments from the public? Hearing none?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carries.
Number 2.
Okay,
Thank you.
number 2, Councilmember Little.
Thank you. Resolution number 2 from Finance is number 5507, and this is to authorize transfer of appropriations from the operating budget. This is similar to a number of other resolutions we've had to transfer appropriations from funds that have a surplus to funds that have a deficit in the 2017 budget, and that is allowed during the first 3 months of the year. So I'd ask council to authorize this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? No? Any comments from the public? We need a roll call vote for this one, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
Thanks. Motion carries.
Thank you. I can bundle the next 2 resolutions, number
Please do.
5521 and number 5522. These are both authorizations for tax appeal settlement agreements, number 1 and number 2, pending our closed session agreement. These are both residential tax settlements.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, I'm sorry.
Any comments from council? Any comments from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to general services. Yes, Councilmember Ogden, please.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Yes, this resolution is to support and authorize an application through New Jersey Smart Building Program, supporting a grant through the New Jersey Board of Utilities in making energy improvements to the Community Center, Aquatic Center, and Cornell Field. No matching funds are needed by the city other than the current commitments to these buildings already. I move this resolution to authorize permission to apply for this grant at this time.
I second.
Okay, any comments from council? Councilmember McTiernan?
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Just maybe, Michael, what are what type of numbers are we talking about here that are available in this grant?
May I answer?
Yeah.
But if approved by the Board of Utilities, $500,000.
Okay, great.
Sounds fantastic.
If approved, so.
If.
Any little bit.
Okay, we'll take a vote on that. All of those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, and we're moving on to works.
It's me.
Councilmember Bowman.
We're working with you. Thank you, Council Pro Tem. Okay, so Resolution 5468 is to authorize submission of Tree City USA recertification to the New Jersey Forestry Service. Basically, Summit has been a tree city for 23 consecutive years, something to be very proud of. This designation of Tree City makes Summit more attractive to organizations which extends funds, grant money for trees or urban redevelopment. Trees are important to making our community attractive. They provide shade, assist in water management, help to clean air, and provide oxygen, to name a few of the health, environmental, and yes, economic benefits they provide. Let's continue this string for years and work to earn that designation. I move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? I will say that when I was first moving to Summit, I read an article in the New York Times which called it a leafy paradise, which is what made me want to move here.
There you go.
So, any comments from the public? Okay, let's take a vote on it. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the second resolution from Works is Resolution 5508. It's to authorize the execution of a grant between Summit and the NJDEP, the Urban and Community Forest Program. This program has a maximum amount of grant program has a maximum of $3,000. It does require a match on our part if we would be extended, and those expenditures would be covered by our foresters' traditional work. This grant would address the need for Summit to develop a community forest management plan. Our current plan expires at the end of 2018. The next plan is to address Summit's downtown trees, our existing tree ordinance, and reflect on the emerald ash borer issue and recommendations on native plants. I move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? Any comments from the general public? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one, resolution coming out of Works is Resolution 5523, appointing 2 additional citizens at large to the Recycle Advisory Committee, looking to add stability to this commission by adding at-large positions. Currently, the Recycling Committee includes individuals representing students, scouts, SDI, and the Reed Arboretum. They are requesting additional residents. We would amend this resolution, granting it to, from 1-year to 3-year terms. I move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? Any comments from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the last one is coming out of Works Works Resolution 5524. Based on the previous resolution, we would like to appoint Karen Rayhofer to one of the at-large positions for the Recycling Advisory Commission. I move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? Any comments from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we're moving on to Buildings and Grounds. Councilmember Fox.
Resolution 5467 is to support Hometown Heroes banner program and to establish an ad hoc committee. So this resolution is to authorize and support the Hometown Heroes banner program and to establish an ad hoc committee to administer the program. The Hometown Heroes program will honor current and former city residents and city employees who are veterans or active duty members of the armed services. Council had a presentation and a detailed discussion about this project at the last council meeting. Phase 1 of the project will recognize 100 heroes through the placement of 50 double-sided banners on city-owned light posts along DeForest Avenue between Norwood Avenue and Summit Avenue. The banners will be displayed from Memorial Day till the 4th of July each year. Through this resolution, the city grants permission for the use of the poles and agrees to install the banner hardware and banners. The hardware and banners will be purchased using donations made to a Hometown Heroes account established through the Summit Area Public Foundation. The city will also seek approval from JCP&L for the use of utility poles on Broad Street, Summit Avenue, and Morris Avenue to display banners if needed. This resolution also establishes an ad hoc committee to implement the program and set necessary policies and procedures governing the program. this project will be a wonderful way to publicly recognize Summit's veterans and active duty military members. I would like to move this resolution.
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? Yes, Councilman McTiernan?
Thank you, Council President Pro Temp. Yeah, earlier when the baseball people were speaking, I spoke of change agents and people who get up out of their seat and decide to try and make the community a better place. And I'd just like to congratulate Michael Arling for being that type of person. It's not easy because, as you have probably become aware, you have to coordinate with dozens of different people to get anything to happen. And there's a reason for that, because you want to make sure that the process is well thought out and that people have input into it and such. But when someone does take the time and makes the effort and does do it the right way, you get some great results. And I think this program is one of those things. It's a great testament, your perseverance and your vision, and I'm glad that this could happen. I'm also very happy about the other groups in town, like the American Legion Post, the Elks, who have been very supportive as well, to volunteer to help out to administer the program, I think is great. It's always good to have different eyeballs when making decisions, so I like that aspect of the program as well. So fully support this resolution.
Thank you, Councilmember McTiernan. Any other comments?
I had one last comment. So take a look on the city's website. You'll see information about how to sign up for everyone in the public, out in the public. There'll be sign-up information if you'd like to donate. This is a voluntary program, and people who are being recognized do not have to pay. We want all veterans and active duty service members to feel free to come and apply and be part of this program. And it's going to be the first 100 applicants who meet the criteria who will be put up this year. And we hope to continue in further years. And thank you to Michael and to Henry for all the work you've done.
Yeah. Yes, I also want to say thank you to Henry and Michael. Michael, I have the pleasure of riding the train with in the mornings, and he throws off ideas one after another, and this one stuck. He persevered, he made it happen, and I'm delighted that it's going to happen, and I hope you keep going with more of these ideas. I hope you've got that civic bug and you bring more of these great projects to the city, so thank you. Any comments from the public?
Henry's urging me, Michael Arline, 50 Bedford Road. I just very quickly want to thank everyone for the support. Very excited about this. On the city's website, cityofsummit.org/hometownheroes. As of this very moment, you can go and download the application and the instructions. And at sapfnj.org/donate, you can, if you have the means and desire to, you can support the project financially. And I also want to show everyone, thanks to Lois Schneider Realtor, we have a beautiful poster that will go up. Hopefully some merchants in town will put this up, and we'll have it on community bulletin boards. And looking forward to Memorial Day, when we'll see the Avenue of Heroes along DeForest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a vote. You don't need a roll call.
No.
No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Okay, Councilmember Fox.
Resolution 5515, appoint Mayor's Partnership for the Public Arts member. We have an unfilled position on the Arts Committee, the Mayor's Partnership for Public Art, after the appointments meeting at the end of last year. The mayor has appointed Dory Eldridge to fill this position. I move the resolution for council to confirm this appointment.
Anyone second?
Second.
Okay, any comments from council? Any comments from the public? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carries. Okay, I believe that's the last.
Consent agenda.
Yeah, moving on to the consent agenda. Excuse me, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carries. Now we're moving on to council member comments or new business. Does anybody have any new business they want to bring up? Any council members? Yes, Councilmember Bowman.
Thank you, Council Pro Tem. I thought I'd give you guys a quick update. I am the representative to the joint meeting. So exciting, isn't it? But the joint, just so you guys know what the joint meeting is, it's 11 communities in Essex and Union County, and it's basically our sewer. So it's important, and we all should be thankful for this, these communities, and they do a great job at a pretty cost-effective manner. And I'm just going to give you some quick numbers. Basically, their budget for 2018 is going to be $34 million. It's about a 4% increase over last year's budget. But some of the things they are doing down there is they are buying close to 2.5 acres that surround the plant in Elizabeth. And they're going to be building a levee to protect the plant come storms similar to Sandy. And at that storm, the water was right up there that they were just about flooded. So that was there. And they are also working with Waste Management to start operating a food processing center. Just another opportunity to be more environmentally friendly. And basically, they're looking for opportunities. In that food processing center, they converted to gas, and they are looking for opportunities to become more self-sufficient. So that's what I know in a nutshell, but it's figured you guys would like to know.
Sure.
That's really interesting. Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Ogden.
Just a plug for our local high school and the production of Legally Blonde. Tickets are on sale now, so I encourage everyone to get their tickets. Starts Wednesday, February 28th, and goes through till, I believe Saturday, the 3rd of March.
4
My
shows.
tickets? Yes, I can't wait, and I just put a plug in for that because I think our theater in Summit is our high school, and it's fabulous.
Outstanding, yes.
Outstanding, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Ogden. Anyone else? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Well, thank you and thank you everyone for being here.
Good.
Great.